Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to today's University Info Sessions. I'm very happy to introducing a new partner school with us. I want to welcome Dr. Cindy Melendez from Concordia University, Texas. They're based in Texas, so a lot of our students are trying to find programs in central US, and they really offer a competitive program. And when it comes to hybrid program and CPT. So for today's session, we're going to be focusing on within the CPT and hybrid programs. So how could this program support your career and your US journey if your OPT is about to end? And then we're going to do a brief overview of Concordia's CPT offering, program structure, and also tuition structure, fee structure as well. We're gonna do residency weekends. A lot of people are curious about if I go to this particular school, what am I gonna expecting in person and also online? What kind of education would I get? So we're gonna cover classes, activities, and any other accommodation that the university may offer. We're gonna also share academic calendars, CPT start time, application start time, and stuff like that to keep students prepared. And we're also gonna do a half session. This is a 45-minute session, but we're gonna dedicate half of the session to a live Q&A. So if any of you in the audience, if you have questions, don't hesitate to send them into the Q&A box down below, where our moderator will collect the questions. We're hopefully to answer all of the questions for you, whether it's regarding hybrid programs, or regarding CPT, regarding any other things. So if you have any additional questions that we're unable to address today, feel free to scan the QR code for WhatsApp or for WeChat. Our consultants will provide free consultations to help you answer your questions for the programs. Before we begin with the university info session, I wanted to briefly introducing us as the host of this event. We are Go Lead. We are a education consultancy working with a lot of the programs offering CPT. Our primary services will be hybrid professional program applications, consultation services, and we also sometimes will guide students through F1 reinstatement or change of status applications. So our mission is always to make students' American dreams come true by providing them with our consultation services. We're also certified by ARSC as one of the biggest, most respectful organization in education space. We have two ongoing campaigns going on. First, we have the biggest Day One CPT community. If you are considering CPT as an option, we have student enrollment to these programs and join the community where you can claim points from doing certain activity to help out fellow students. So I will be later sharing all of these links. And then we also have what we are doing right now. We have weekly webinars, not only with university programs, but we also do webinar with immigration attorneys, former US visa officers and stuff like that. They are all free. So if you wanted to learn more about those resources, feel free to go to our golead.com/events page to sign up for all of the future events. We are on Google reviews, so feel free to check us out. All of our other students, how they rated us, how they talked about our consultation services. And then we're also on social media channel as well. You can find us on all of the social medias. So without further ado, I will let Cindy, Dr. Melendez, and take the stage, and she will talk more about Concordia University. I'll stop sharing right now.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here and to get to share with you a little bit about Concordia University, Texas. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see my presentation as I speak with y'all. All right. Ryan, thumbs up if you can see my screen. Perfect. All right. Well, here at Concordia University, Texas, we are located in Austin, just a few miles away from downtown Austin, far enough that you're not in the middle of downtown, but close enough that you can visit quite easily. And so today I'm happy to share just a little bit about our hybrid graduate program in the College of Business and Communication, a little bit about CPT and how we offer it here at Concordia. I have been here for approximately 11 years, and I'm also the primary designated school official. So I'm happy to answer your questions in terms of international student life at Concordia, CPT, and really anything that is related to that. So to go ahead and get started, let me go ahead and All right. So a little bit about the Concordia Hybrid MBA. The program in itself can be completed in 20 months, and it is fully hybrid. I'm going to go into more detail about what hybrid means when it comes to that. But within 20 months, you can finish an entire MBA. If you are not ready to finish your MBA in 20 months, we also have multiple concentration options to help you actually extend your time on the MBA and come out ahead in terms of the areas of AI, data analytics, school finance, whatever it is that your specific interests and your specific goals in terms of your career and your professional life post graduation may look like. I know students always ask, well, what are the courses that we're taking within these 20 months? At the end of this presentation, I will go into some detail in terms of how these classes play out, but this is the general course load for the MBA. On average, our students take about 6 credit hours per semester, and that's within a 16-week period. They will take 6 credit hours, and that could be anywhere from 2 classes to 3 classes within one given semester, more if you're adding on a concentration. But in general, these are the classes that you will be taking. We do believe in specific and dedicated time learning many of the technical skills that you will be needing as an MBA graduate from our program. That means data analytics, that means economics, finance, policy. But we also believe that there is importance in learning how to be a leader in these spaces. And so you'll see here that we have several classes in leadership, knowing who you are as a leader, who you want to be in terms of a leader for others, and then how you show up in the communities that you serve, whether it be here in the Austin area or elsewhere. A little bit about tuition and fees. And so for our Go Elite students, we do have a special tuition rate, which is at $700 per credit hour. So depending on which type of program you're pursuing, if it's the general MBA or if you're taking a concentration with some extra credit hours, know that it's per credit hour. You would be paying $700 a semester, essentially. We are offering a discount for all of our Go Elite students, which if you were not a Go Elite student, your per credit hour would be a little bit more than that. There is a general services fee that is included per semester as well. And that general services fee just goes towards items that are seen and unseen in terms of your program. That could be the technical access, the technical tools that you need help with to be able to pursue your MBA in a hybrid modality. And it also includes access to our resources on campus, such as tutoring, writing center help, resume building help, interview coaching, speaking coaching. And so those are things that this general services fee helps go towards in terms of making sure that you're successful, not just in the program, but outside of the program as well. There's, of course, a payment plan available, and we do believe in complete transparency. And so you should know that there is a graduation fee that is charged at the end of your program as well. And that is just a one-time fee in the semester that you're graduating. And we also offer a textbook program as well. If you have been in a program elsewhere in the United States, you probably are aware that books can be pretty pricey. And what we do here is we have a built-in textbook program where students can opt out if they wish not to participate in, but they find that by paying $25 per credit hours, they will get all their access codes that are needed for every single class that they're enrolled in, as well as their required textbooks. And then at the end of the semester, they just return the books and then pick up the rest of the books that they need for the next semester. And so this ends up being quite a cost savings for our students who don't have to go outside of the university to pay for books and access codes that are triple the cost sometimes. And then beyond that, there is no additional fees when it comes to any support that we are providing for you throughout the program as well. And that includes whether or not you're an international student as well. So let me talk a little bit about why this program is hybrid. So the program is actually starting online, right? And so, for example, for our students that will be starting this program next week, they will be starting their coursework fully online. And it isn't until they come on campus that they then get that hybrid experience. That happens once a semester, and it's usually the third or fourth week of the semester. And so, for example, for the students that are starting their semester with us next week, they are actually going to be engaging on the 3-day on-campus experience starting September 12th through September 14th. It's 3 days on campus, and as you can see on this picture here, you also saw it behind me in my background here. This is what our campus looks like. Yes, this is in Austin, Texas. Yes, it is pretty close to downtown, but we live on the side of Austin that is pretty green, pretty big, pretty wide. And so with this experience, you really get to just unplug in terms of stepping away from your normal day-to-day routine, coming on campus, the campus that you call home as an MBA student, and getting to learn about your curriculum hands-on. And so your faculty members, you'll get to meet them every single semester. You'll connect with your classmates in person. You'll connect with local business leaders and potential recruiters in the Austin area. You'll be able to really deepen your experience because it's super focused in terms of what you're doing programmatic-wise. We also, with this program, we do offer that you can stay in our campus, in our residential halls at no additional cost, or a discounted rate if you prefer not to be in the residential halls. We do offer discounted rates with some of our partner hotels that are right down the street from here. And so that is a little bit of a different, I would say, benefit is that with the hybrid program, we truly believe that your presence on campus, while it's for one weekend a semester, that it is limited, it is also important. And so that's why we also want to make sure that you're able to be on campus during that time with no barriers. And so you get to participate living in our res hall if that's what you choose to do. A little example of what happens during this experience. This is just a sample schedule of what a typical student will go through. This is usually the first semester. It varies in terms of what students are doing every semester. But essentially, Friday, you come in midday, have your check-in in the res hall, check-in with the faculty. You have the class, your first class, then you go and have dinner on your own. And then on Saturday, it's a full-on day of learning. We provide breakfast and lunch. You get to meet with all your different professors from your different classes that you're currently enrolled in. And then you end with one of your other classes with dinner on your own as well on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we also have another continental breakfast that we offer. We also do a quick devotional, which is was a very integral part of our Concordia community here. And then we also finish with your classes. And so these are things that many of our students have questions on is what does that weekend look like? And this is a really good snapshot. Now, it may vary. You may see one professor more often than the other during any given weekend, but the idea is that you're engaging in the coursework that you're enrolled in pretty consistently. And so now talking about CPT at Concordia University. And you may be familiar with what CPT is already. You may already have gone through it at another institution, but I feel it's important to go over what exactly it is. And so as an F1 visa student, you do have the ability to have a temporary work authorization to work off campus. And for many of our F1 students, what they're really looking for is that practical, real experience to what they're learning in the classroom. And this is different from OPT. OPT, that sort of authorization will come from not the institution themselves, but it's a pretty lengthy process with Homeland Security in order to get that kind of authorization. So CPT is short in nature, it's temporary, and we provide CPT opportunities and day one CPT approval for students that meet the minimum criteria. And some of that criteria is you must have been enrolled in an institution or learning towards a program for at least an academic year, which most of our MBA students do meet that criteria. And then you must have a off-campus work opportunity that is connected with what you're learning in the classroom. Now, what's different about Concordia and what some institutions that you may be familiar with also do is that we like to make sure that whatever you're learning in the classroom is applicable outside of the classroom as well. And so any time that a student comes to us and says, I have this really great opportunity to work, or I already have a job for my OPT that I would like to bring and continue to do so with my MBA, what we do is we actually look through all of your curriculum, all of your enrolled courses, and make sure that there are components in that curriculum of the classes you're already taking that will meet with that will connect with that internship. And that's unique because you don't have to enroll into another class. You don't have to enroll into an internship class. What we're doing and what we're committing to is saying that the work that you're doing in an outside setting with approval from the DSOs is connected to what you're learning in the classroom. And so in any given semester, for example, you're taking a leadership course, and that leadership course can be broadly used to approve any of the CPT, the options that many of our students have here at Concordia. Now, a little bit about the authorization and eligibility here is that, again, a student must complete one full academic year. That's pretty standard. It's in terms of how we make this work. We just have to make sure we have transcripts on file. We do like to make sure we're upfront in terms of explaining the difference between full-time CPT and part-time CPT. If you are only working about 18, 19 hours per week, that's considered part-time CPT. Anything above the 20 hours, it is considered full-time CPT. Not an issue for the most part, but I just want to make sure that our students understand that if you are doing that for more than 12 months, that will affect your opportunity to obtain OPT eligibility, which most of our MBA students, what they do here is they save that OPT eligibility for post-graduation. So that post-graduation, they can have a full year of being able to work and get that practical training in our workforce here in the United States. And our process is super simple. You submit a CPT request form. It's online. It has some basic info that we collect. And usually we do ask for a letter from an employer or direct contact information, as well as an explanation of what you're doing in that job setting. And from there, the DSO reviews the academic plan, make sure that it's aligned, and we provide authorization on a semester by semester basis so that we are in alignment, knowing that what you're doing at work is also connecting with your curriculum as well. The form is online. We do allow our students who are interested in coming to Concordia to apply for day one CPT before they apply and get accepted into Concordia. And so that is one of the options that you have, is that you're still on the fence, but you don't know if your day one CPT would be approved. We would be happy to look at that and see if that's a possibility before you make that commitment. And then lastly, here is our academic calendar. Just wanted to go over this a little bit because some of the questions that I usually get is, well, what does it mean? How am I going to show up in classes? When am I going to be in classes? And so what I did here is give you a sample of what one academic year looks like. And so at Concordia and any college, we don't go by the calendar year, January to December. We go by the academic year. And at Concordia, our academic year starts in the fall and ends in the summer. And so this is an example of what one academic year would look like. Now, we enroll students throughout the entire year. And so it doesn't matter if you start in the fall, the spring, or the summer. But this is an example of what a student in the fall, starting next week, for example, would look forward to. And so all of our courses, our 16-week courses, begin Monday, August 25th. And then we also have 8-week sessions that also begin next week as well, Monday, August 25th. In the middle of that, you do have that EDGE experience, that on-campus residency, which will always land around the 3rd, 4th week of the semester. And then you'll have the 8-week session 1 courses that'll end in the middle of the semester. And then you'll have another 8-week course that will start in the middle of the semester. And so the way that you would read this, because I know it's a lot of numbers, and I already see a typo or two here, but the way that you would read this is that from the beginning of the semester, August 25th through December 14th, you are taking at least 6 credit hours at the minimum. That is how you maintain your status for your visa purposes. That is how you are listed as a full-time student. And so that may look different. You may have one course that lasts all the way from August 25th to December 14th, or you may have 2 courses, and one course will be the first half of the fall semester, and then the second course will be the second half of the semester, which would be the 8-week session part 2. And so the way that we do it is that it'll vary from semester to semester. Some classes can be done in 8 weeks, and some classes must be done in 16 weeks. But at the minimum, you'll be taking 6 hours throughout one semester. And it's really just copy and paste from there in terms of that's what you'll be doing in the spring semester. And then that's what you'll be doing in the summer semester. The reason that you can finish this program in under 2 years is because you are in courses fall, spring, and summer. And there are some breaks in between. So you'll notice that at the end of the fall semester here, which ends December 14th, you don't have to return back as a student until January 12th. And so it's almost about a month break that you get during that time period. And so you get to do that throughout the semesters. Not always as big of a break, but you do get some breaks as needed throughout the semester with some major holidays, and you're also doing most of the coursework online as well. Remember that the only time that you're on campus is during the EDGE experiences, which will land once a semester during the third or fourth week of the semester. Okay. And with that, Ryan, I think I finished right at the halfway mark. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you so we can start some Q&A.
Fantastic. We did collected some of the questions. Let me just go ahead and share screen from
Perfect.
my side so that we can go ahead and kick started with the questions. So for those of you in the audience, if you have any follow-up questions regarding what Cindy has mentioned, definitely feel free to send in your questions again. We're here for you. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start with the first question. So is there any still time left for me to join the August cohort in Concordia? Can I still apply for fall?
Yes, absolutely. Classes start Monday. And so if that is definitely still an opportunity, and I would definitely encourage that if you're interested and ready to start your MBA, you will be able to catch up pretty quickly. Everyone has access to their courses on Monday, and so it's just a matter of submitting the work. The big question is, can you join us September 12th through the 14th in person? And that would be my main question back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. If this person have an urgent need of enrolling into the university, definitely scan the WhatsApp code or the WeChat code so that our consultant can get to help you right away. So moving on, is there an alternative document for like a CPT employer agreement if the employer isn't willing to sign that?
Yeah, so our CPT request form is actually filled out by the students. And so the employer does not have to sign an agreement with the institution, but they do have to provide at least a letter stating that you're working there and what the role is and the time and the hours. And so the employer doesn't have to sign an agreement directly with the institution. They just have to provide a formal letter essentially saying that you are an employee there.
Absolutely. So moving forward, what are the residency days? I think you have shared them, but just in case somebody joined midway, what are the next residency days for the next quarter semester?
Yeah, it's so for the fall semester, it's September 12th, 13th, and 14th. In the spring semester, it's going to be January 30th, January 31st, and then February 1st.
So
And
it would
then,
be, sorry to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
So it would usually be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Correct. Yes. And it'll be half day Friday, full day Saturday, half day Sunday.
All right. Let's move on. What are all the other courses offered apart for an MBA? To my understanding, the MBA program is the only hybrid program that is being offered, but still, I think the university offers something a little bit more than just business, a little bit more than just management. Can you talk more about the courses being offered?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did talk a little bit about the concentrations that our program has, and I can give you some specifics there. I don't have the courses listed right in front of me, but with the MBA, you do have the option of adding concentrations. And so they're officially titled Learning and Technology and Innovation Leadership, Data Science and Analytics Leadership, AI Strategy and Leadership, and Organizational Development and Learning. And so each one of those concentrations are going to have anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe 5 courses that are very specific to that topic, right? And so it could be for organizational development and learning, it'll be talent management and human resource management. So a little bit more HR focused. For data science and analytics, it'll be more robust statistical methods that you'll be learning in those concentrations. And so those courses are going to be touching on that as well. But I can certainly send those questions as well. They're listed on our catalog in terms of the other MBA level courses that you can take along with this program.
Absolutely. And to my understanding, some of the concentrations are STEM focused, so
Mhm.
that if students chose that pathway, they are eligible for a STEM OPT.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
sounds good. All right, moving forward, I'm currently on an H4 visa. Can I enroll and work on CPT still from day one, or um, I think this is another question. Could my partner do the MBA day one CPT
Yeah,
with
so that
two?
would actually depend on your academic enrollment. So if you've done a year in academic programs, and we can verify that with the transcripts, and the answer is yes. It would just depend on when those academic years happened, and if they were pretty recent, we should be able to count it, but it would depend on a closer look on your transcript.
Absolutely. And I assume that if this person successfully get approved and transfer from an H4 visa right now to an F1 visa, then technically his or her partner can apply for an F2 on this program.
Potentially, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on just the transcripts and the good standing and all the legal things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So for those things, I do recommend this person to scan the code to talk to our consultant so that you have a better understanding. Because we do have, I would say, fairly amount of students coming from another status instead of
Mhm.
one status. So they do need to go through a procedure called change of status to be
Correct.
able to change to F1 and then use CPT because CPT is exclusive to the F1 status.
Correct.
So definitely talk to us. We're happy to help. Moving forward, can I start CPT in the middle of the semester if I don't have a job or I'm between jobs right now? Or if not, what is the deadline for applying for CPT?
Yeah, you certainly can. We have students all the time that find CPT opportunities in the middle of the semester. The only thing is that you do have to apply every semester to have that work authorization. But we do have students that start in October and then they just want to continue that in January, February. So there is no official deadline for the CPT application. Just know that the authorization that the DSO provides will have an end date of whatever semester you're in. And so that's the only thing is that you would have to reapply for the authorization. But absolutely, middle of the semester is definitely possible.
Right. For example, if this person apply for a CPT, just land a job, apply for CPT 20 days before the semester end, you
Mhm.
guys will still verify it, issue it, but then the work authorization will only last until the 20 days, and then the person have to apply for another one, just
Yep,
according to
correct.
the procedure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, moving forward, similar questions. If I don't have a job, can I still enroll into the program?
Yes, you can. It is not required. An internship or practical training opportunity is not required for enrollment in this program. It certainly helps with some of the topics that you are learning in the program, but it is not a requirement.
Absolutely. So, how are online classes scheduled? Can you talk more about what those online classes are, how they look like?
Yeah. So the online classes, I see here that it says that if they are synchronized or not. So the online classes work on a week schedule. So essentially, week one would be Monday through Sunday. And you have assignments that are assigned for week one, for week two, for week three, and your professor will communicate all that for you. But the way that it works is that there is no required time for you to meet during those online classes. You do have to make sure you submit what is required of you within that timeline. And usually that timeline could be something like by Wednesday of week one at midnight, you have to submit X, Y, and Z. Or by Sunday midnight, you have to submit that. It would depend on the professor, but it doesn't require anything else beyond scheduling. You just have to make sure you have an agenda and a calendar, and you can keep up with the assignments that are being submitted or being asked of you.
Mhm. Absolutely. So moving forward, this person is a little bit is planning ahead and is a little
Mhm.
bit curious about the RFE side of things. So typically, if some students run into RFE situations, if they are applying for change of status or applying for an H-1B visa in the future, if they run into an RFE, how would the university be able to support them?
Yeah, typically what we do is for students that are in the process of receiving an RFE, we do help them with providing and submitting, not submitting, but providing the evidence that they need to be able to make that transition as smooth as possible. And then we also partner partners like Go Elite to help with some of that process as well when needed. But for the most part, our students come to us to ask to say, I need X, Y, and Z. I need a letter. I need help understanding what this looks like. And we'll give them some general advice on how to move forward with that in terms of making sure that they have the evidence that's needed for that process.
Absolutely. All right. Moving forward, can I have worked for multiple jobs on CPT?
That's a great question. I'll actually have to speak with our DSOs on that. I do know that it is limited to the number of hours that you're working. And then we want to make sure that the full-time status is also being kept up with. So it'll depend on multiple factors. The key thing about CPT is that it has to be aligned with your curriculum. And so sometimes multiple job opportunities, even if they're part-time internships, they may not connect with the curriculum that you're currently enrolled in. And so we'll just have to make sure that it's aligned at least in that way.
Absolutely. All right. Moving forward, do I have to use the CPT throughout the whole time of study? Kind of similar to another questions, but do I have to use CPT the whole time?
No.
Even if I lose my job? I don't think so.
It's not a requirement for the program.
Okay, sounds good. All right, moving forward, do we need a new job offer with start date aligning the semester start date? Great question. So every semester they're gonna apply for CPT, right? Do they need a new offer letter?
They do not need a new offer letter, but we will request at least an employer letter verifying that you're still employed. So we wouldn't require the same, this individual is working for me and I've offered them X, Y, and Z. It'll just have to be an additional acknowledgement that the student's still working with you.
And will the university provide a template for that verification letter?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I guess just the management had to sign and it would be pretty simple like that. All right, next questions. How often do I need to renew? We just talked about that. So renew CPT every semester. And then next one, will Concordia University Texas organize any networking events on Friday, Saturday evening, during the residency?
Yeah, so that is certainly something that we are currently planning for when students are coming back for their second, third, or fourth semester. So the first semester, it's really about building that ability to meet your classmates, meet your faculty, meet the curriculum requirements, the academic side. But the networking events are something that we're starting to plan out in advance for future semesters so that we can have students get to know not just their classmates, not just their faculty members, but local business owners as well. And so that is something that we're currently working on.
Absolutely. All right, next one. Is there a website to check for the on-campus jobs? And do you offer PhD programs as well?
Yeah, so on our concordia.edu webpage, you can search, on-campus jobs or jobs, and there are jobs for student workers, and they're always listed there. And so that would be a great opportunity for anyone to look at. And then we do offer a EDD program as well. And then we are also offering a doctorate in nursing practitioner program as well in the summer. But both of those programs don't have the residency experiences required for an F1 visa student. And so while we offer them, they are fully online, except for some small exceptions there, but fully online.
All right, moving forward, when I'm doing the applications, this person have like a question, like an issue with application portal. So when I'm doing the application, I cannot select fall 2025. Is it because the deadline passed or is it because
yeah. So on the actual application, we do have to put a deadline for that. But what I would suggest is apply for spring 2026 and then use a QR code or the WhatsApp info that's being provided by Go Elite here so that they can help us move you to the fall 25 semester because we can still do that on the back end.
Right. Because of the urgent situations, I will also just recommend you to send in your application, whatever is fall or next year, sending the application right away. And then when you contact your consultants, we will help expedite, we'll send you an email and then with the university representative so they know that you're about to change enrollment into the current quarter. So moving forward, my OPT is already ended in January 21. And I wanted to join, I think this person wanted to say 2026.
I think so, yes.
So let's just assume my OPT ends next year, 2026. I wanted to join spring semester. What's the recommendation for a CVIS transfer date? And this is also important. Does January 11th work? So I
Yes.
see January 12th is the class start time.
Yes, that's correct. And so we actually would have to transfer the I-20 a few days before January 12th. It would actually have to be like the Thursday or Friday before school starts because that's when orientation is. And that's the recommended transfer date. But the earlier date or closer to the semester does work. The only thing is that you wouldn't be able to work during that period until your CPT is approved. Your OPT status initially ends when you transfer your record, and then we have to make sure that your CPT is approved so that you can start the CPT back up again. So there may be a little bit of a small period, few days that you may not be able to work.
Right. For this CVIS transfer process, a lot of students are having a little bit of anxiety because they don't want it to give up too much time when they're
Yes.
about to end their OPT. So one thing that I will recommend is you can always confirm with the two schools that you're transferring from, and two,
Mhm.
you can always confirm a CVIS transfer date prior. So let's say if you wanted to start CVIS transfer in January 8th or January 7th, you can still set up that time, arrange that time way ahead. So you're still working on OPT, but you're very prepared, and then the two university can do that more smoothly.
Yes, we do that quite often where we know the date well in advance, let's say December. We won't officially transfer it until the date that you told us that you would prefer. That's
Absolutely.
common.
All right. Thank you, Cindy. Moving forward, could you please let me know what documents are required for a CPT?
Yeah. So really the only document that's needed is we have a form that we have for students where they fill out, basic information, first name, last name, the name, the student will fill out the name of the employer. Really the only documentation that's needed beyond that, beyond what we're asking you, right? What is the job? How many hours you're working a week? Is that letter from that employer. And that letter from the employer will just let us know, confirm the supervisor name, confirm what you're telling us about the job that you have, and then kind of the start date and date. And so really the only documentation would be that for
Okay.
CPT.
And I assume that this is the verification letter that you have mentioned.
Yes. Mhm.
Sounds good. Moving forward, what's the estimated process timing for applying for a CPT?
Yeah, so it would be within 3 to 5 business days that we from the time that we receive the CPT request, and let's say everything is submitted, we would be able to provide that approval as long as it's the semester that's starting. And so, for example, if somebody was starting next week, August 25th, and we receive the CPT application today, we would be able to review it today. And then by August 25th, we'd be able to give you authorization. That would be about three to 5 business days.
All right, fantastic. Moving forward, can I join as a J1 visa scholar with a change of status to an F1 student? And if so, can I work on CPT when the program start on day one?
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to work on CPT. So for J1 change of status, we would have to wait until you are fully transitioned over to be get your approval to be an F1 visa student for us to be able to do CPT. However, there are different rules for J1 students in terms of work. And so if you meet those requirements on the J1 student side, then you would be able to work. It just wouldn't be considered CPT until you're fully a F1 visa student.
All right. Moving on, what happens if I miss an on-site classes? I know this kind of situation, we all don't want this to happen, but
Yeah.
just in case, is there any way to make it up?
Yeah, if there are some emergency situations that do come up, there may be a way to make it up. However, it is strongly encouraged because this is a program where it is considered hybrid and they're only meeting once a semester for the weekend. It is highly encouraged that if this situation happens, then we may need to do a leave of absence, or if there is a way that we can make it up by having you on campus another day, we will try to do that. But it'll depend on several factors.
Thank you for that. Next questions. How to make sure my role is qualified to work for CPT. Can a STEM position qualify for CPT? I think this speaks more into the resemblance of your program study versus the CPT role. Cindy, could you go a little bit more in depth into
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. And so the way that we actually align that is by looking at the course that you're actually enrolled in, right? And so for example, if you are enrolled in finance and your position in STEM has a finance component to it, we would be able to approve it for CPT. If it does not, then we will obviously, before we deny that request, we will work with you and see if there's an option for your employer to add a finance component during that semester to your role, so that then you would be able to have that alignment with what you're learning in the class for that course and what you're actually doing for your position. So it's really a matter of, is the position that you have aligning with the courses that you're enrolled in at that time?
Sounds good. Next question, does the university offer payment plans?
Yes, we do. So we do offer payment plans on a semester basis. So fall, you can have a payment plan, and then spring, you can start a different payment plan. On average, it's a 4-month or a 5-month payment plan. And the payment plan you can choose between it being on the first of the month that you make the payments, or the 15th of the month that you would be able to make the payments. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is for that. We have 5, 4, and even 3-month payment plans for our MBA students.
Okay, next question. This person is from Brazil and wanted to come to the US for school and then work on CPT. Is that possible?
Yeah, so that would depend on if you have any sort of academic program experience, at least a year that you've been enrolled in an academic program. If we can see that on the transcripts, then the answer would be yes, but it would depend on just your enrollment as an F1 student and your how you've met that 1 year of academic enrollment.
That academic enrollment is an F1 student's academic enrollment, meaning that the person have to, prior to entering to this program, this person have to have at least 1 year study in the US. Okay. Next question, what financial documents does the university require?
Yeah, so this is for actual enrollment to the university as an international student. We do have to have proof of funds, and that could be a bank statement, a notarized letter from your bank. It could be pay stubs. It could be proof of funds in other ways. For example, I see that somebody's asking that question already, 401 or stock, or it could be through a sponsor. So if you have a sponsor, many times it's a family member, a parent, a colleague that is willing to say, I will help make sure that you can pay for this education. They can provide a bank statement as well, pay stubs, and then just sign an affidavit saying that that's what they would do.
And I assume that would these fall into the context with 401 or any other investment to be used as proof of funds? Okay. Moving forward, can I travel outside of the country while I'm doing CPT?
Yeah, you certainly can travel outside the country as long as your F1 visa is in good standing. But I do want to say that I'm saying that from a DSO point of view, in terms of as long as you're enrolled in classes, that you've shown up for the residency weekend, the Edge experience, you are in good standing and you are able to travel. Now, as a DSO, I also need to tell you that that also depends on where you're traveling, right? There are so many travel advisories, and so you just want to make sure you're always speaking with the DSO about that. And then you also want to make sure that you're adjusting to expectations with your employer. And so if you are working with an employer that requires you to take time off in a formal manner, that might be something you want to speak with in terms of making sure you're keeping your position when you return from out of the country. But in general, if you are on CPT, you are in good standing, so you are able to travel outside of the country.
Okay. I think we have 2 questions left. We're about to wrap up. So final 2 questions. First is, how many subject or credit should be relevant for CPT authorization?
That's a great question. So it's really not how many credit hours. It's really, are you enrolled in a course that aligns with it? And so many times, for example, there's a class called Leadership and Community. And it is a 1 credit hour course. And remember, you're usually taking up to 6 credit hours in a semester, but this leadership and community, it's really talking about mentorship and how your leadership shows up in community areas, or how you're pouring into others around you in leadership roles. And so that is only 1 credit hour, but often what we see is that for CPT authorization, our students can say, my manager, my supervisor is giving me an extra opportunity to lead a mentorship group at work. And even though it's only 1 credit hour, we can still count that towards CPT authorization.
Okay, our final questions of today. I hope this person have already been in contact with our consultants and they're able to help you. But he or she wanted to ask, how fast can I expect an offer letter after I already completed the application process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our admissions team is pretty fast. It really will depend if all the other components of the applications have been submitted, right? And so keep in mind that there are other things that are required in order for you to be admitted into the university. And so if you have everything submitted, you can see anywhere no more than a week for an acceptance, and usually quicker. The closer we are to the semester, especially for the ones that are interested in starting next week, the closer we are, the quicker we'll be able to turn it around, but usually it's no more than a week.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Cindy. We had a wonderful session, a very informative presentation, as well as answering as much questions as we could. So hopefully we provided enough insight for those of you who wanted to apply. I wanted to stress again that the next fall semester is about to start soon. So if you're interested, don't hesitate. At least send in your application at the moment so the university can get that process. And then you can maybe learn more about CPT and the other things via our consultants or via the university side. All right. Thank you for everybody who joined. And thanks, Cindy. Hopefully we'll get to do this webinar again soon for another term.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you, guys.